I was talking about this on last week's podcast with CJ Kilmer, the Dangerous History podcaster. The most powerful thing the government has is the narrative. It's control of the narrative. That's more important than all the guns they have, because there's not enough guns to control every single American if they disagree with them. So controlling the narrative, in CJ's case, we're talking about historical facts that just kind of get memory hold, but they're memory holding facts in real time. And I don't think I'd like Nick Fuentes if I met him in person. I don't agree with almost anything he says, but the more you shut those people down, the more people think there's something it's the Streisand effect, right? There's something there to see. So you're bringing more people into them, ironically, by trying to shut them up.
You're like legitimizing their opinion.
Right. Especially because their opinion is, oh, the government's trying to shut down what I'm saying because it's the truth. And then if they try to shut it down, you're like, oh, maybe it is the Jews. And of course, it's ridiculous to say that. But you're bringing a lot of, people don't read deeply. They don't know history. They don't know current events, really. So if they see somebody like that and what they're predicting comes true, they're going to believe their other predictions too. So, freedom of speech is so important because you have to have all those ideas out there so people can actually judge what's real. If Nick Fuentes was allowed to speak, nobody would listen to him because he'd just sound like a ranting madman. But the fact that they're doing this to him raises his profile to such a degree that Kanye West is now hiring him to help him run for president. And things get crazy there. So I want to ask you about your business plan in some sense, because, all right, so we have the most censorship happy government that we've had in years, right? The FBI is coming in and trying to control things. There's already established multi-billion-dollar streaming platforms that are going to hate what you're doing. I'm sure advertising is a huge challenge because the duopoly of, Google and Facebook is where most advertising dollars go, and they don't like your freedom of speech message. So how did you decide to actually start a movie business? Like, what is the business? What do you see as your unique advantage that you're going to be able to compete with those big guys?
Because the main reason and the unique, basically our unique selling proposition is that there's a huge appetite for the content that's being censored. People are really fed up with it and they want to see something different than, it's getting really boring. Like, you go to all the streaming apps and it's the same thing, the same cut and dry, like, hey, it all comes from a liberal bend, like, no matter what it is, it has like that liberal flavor to it. And I don't care if there's things with liberal flavor to it. It's just so annoying that it's all from one side. And there's a large segment of the population that is not getting serviced in this industry. So I was like, well, there's a huge market opportunity to, basically grab that and take the bull by the horns and run with it. But I knew full well that the challenges were going to come with it. And I am a religious person. So, like, I'd be completely honest with you. I don't even know if I've really shared this with many people, but like, I really didn't want to take on the plot against the president because I liked living in the background. I liked not having the attention. I liked not being on podcasts. I'm okay with it. Like, it's, I've chosen this life at this point. But I liked, I had a good life. I was living in the shadows. I would sell movies to platforms and countries and, just making an honest living and doing all right, taking the kids to Disney. Nobody knew, nothing, like, I wasn't out in the public. It was great. So I knew this was going to be a fight, and like we literally, me and my wife, like, prayed about it. And like, I was like, I felt like I was being called to do it. And I was like, this is weird because it was right at the election. I was like, so, like, I feel like there's a calling. Is it like God wants, like, Trump to win? Like, I think that's weird because I don't think he cares about Trump, like, but something is going on here. And it's one of those classic things with, like, anything in life. Whenever you're trying to, like, follow your calling, you don't really see the forest, for the trees. You are focused on the one thing and think that that's it. But then it's become this bigger thing now where, like, if we didn't exist, a ton of the content that I already mentioned wouldn't be getting platformed and getting pushed around. So it was, a mindset of like, hey, we got to grow, with a mindset of like, we got to get to cash flow positive. We don't want to take on debt. We don't want to, take on, I'd prefer to not take on investing because I don't want to give up equity. And so we've just been, I keep saying we're slow and steady wins the race, but, like, at random moments, we have that, like, hockey stick, that shoves us up to the next level, and growth. And so, but then the advertising's been difficult. Like, you talk about how the the freedom of speech is being censored so uniformly across the social media and everything. The thing that gave me the like real creeps was that so Facebook deleted our page because I ran advertisements about the Q sent me. I mean, it's like the Tiger King of January 6th. And like the guy's in prison. The documentary does not mention anything, like it doesn't espouse an opinion. It's just, hey, this is this guy that everyone knows who that is if they see his picture. And isn't this story interesting? And so we were going to have this huge growth because we were going to advertise it, and it was going to be an easy click, boom. We knew what the growth was there. So I put the ads out, and we actually even waited till the Friday after election day so that we wouldn't get flagged as trying to influence the election. and I had the ads running, and the weirdest thing was that within minutes, in unison, across Twitter, YouTube, and YouTube/Google and Facebook, everything got banned. It's as if there is a big, unilateral decision maker behind all of that. It was just the weirdest thing, and that really creeped me out. So they shut down everything. Facebook, Twitter right now, our Twitter account exists in some form. We're not allowed to run ads about certain things that they get flagged, but we put out like our Christmas movie marathon, and that ads are allowed to run. So YouTube, we're getting some of the stuff back, but that's still been a challenge. But Facebook just flat out, the page is gone forever. There's no recourse. There's nothing I can do to get it back. There's nothing I can do to run ads. So yeah, we're in this like incredibly frustrating spot now where like I have this intellectual property that is massive and it's going to draw tons of eyeballs, but we can't get the eyeballs to look at it because the powers that be don't want that. So then this is like the moment now I'm like, oh, this is the powers that we're up against. Like this is really, okay, I guess I'm on a list, like me personally, like this is creepy. And all I want to do is make movies. Like that's a funny thing. I really at the core just want to be a movie maker, but I guess they want to keep it's like you said, you try to keep stomping out the voices, and it's gonna come back louder. Like they censor us. I'm not gonna get quiet. I'm not gonna be, oh, okay, I guess I'll just go and cry in the corner. Like, no, F that. I'm coming harder now. So
I think one of the most frustrating things about the whole censorship regime is that the gaslighting behind it is that you're supposed to think that these were all independent decisions made by these advertising companies for the protection of their customers or whatever. But it has to be a single. I mean, I would probably suspect the FBI at this point, because I watched the first episode of Q Sent Me, and the FBI they don't come off looking horrible, but Jacob comes off looking like misguided, but fairly like, I don't know, a nice but naive person in some ways. Like he had no idea what he was in for. Like he didn't understand the powers he was running up against. So I don't think the government, because they've painted him as the main villain, right? Yeah. This was the violent insurrection. They were trying to kill Mike Pence or whatever. So they can't let him look like a human. He has to look like that barbarian sitting on the throne, right? It's very almost Germanic imagery that they're bringing up of this barbarian invading the Capitol, which is how they really think of the Trump supporters. But it has to be exactly. It has to be a centralized source, and fighting that centralized source, which has deniability, right? They're never showing us that they're doing this. Yeah. The FBI or CIA or whoever is doing this isn't saying like, this is us, but it has to be the case that there's a centralized power behind this. So
yeah, why would it all happen within minutes?
It's impossible.